Welcome to Tamara Lynette Tales. I'm Tamara, and I spill the tea on your favorite reality stars. Married at First Sight After Party Season 15, Episode 2. So, this episode featured Alexis, Lindy, and Stacia. The signature cocktail was called the Blushing Bride, and it had champagne, peach schnapps, and grenadine. So I have to say, of all the episodes of this show, this is the first one that felt like we were like eavesdropping on their conversation. There was a moment where they were organically like having girl chat, like laughing and enjoying each other's company. Keisha shows a clip from their wedding where they joked about her sleeping with her eyes open. Keisha asked how she found out that she slept with her eyes open, and she said that her sister told her. One night they were in the same bed and her sister was talking to her and she wasn't responding and got freaked out. So Keisha confessed that she sometimes sleeps with her eyes open too. And one of my subscribers says that her eyeballs are larger than her eyelids, so she can't completely close her eyes when she sleeps either. So this is not so uncommon, I suppose, just new to me. Keisha showed the clip where they talked about her being uncomfortably clean when it comes to her house. She asked, when he said you were nuts, what did you think? And Stacia said, I own it. And when it comes to his past of selling knockoff bags and whatever else he was doing to make money, she said she doesn't mind because he's a hustler. So to my surprise, Stacia seems to be really happy with Nate so far, which is great. It's just that she painted herself as being so picky that I thought she'd find a lot of faults in him. But when she was talking to her girlfriends at the bachelorette party, she did say her type is a thuggish businessman. Those weren't her exact words, but something to that effect. So it sounds like maybe she got that. Now, based on the previews, it looks like they will get off to a good start, but we know how they like to trick us with those previews, so there's that. Keisha asked all the ladies about the friends and family statements during the wedding ceremonies, and they all said that they don't get to hear them before, so they hear them the first time that the rest of us do. Alexis talked about the vagina mold statement. She said she went through a period where she hated her body, so as part of her process to love her body, she started to paint and make molds of her body to come to terms with her body and really love it. So I enjoyed hearing her talk about this. We often hear people say that we should love our body no matter what, but we don't often hear people give actionable steps on how they achieve that love. So next, Keisha showed the clip where Justin told Alexis that he is celibate. Now, what I love about this moment is that Stacia's instinct was to say something to the effect, you blurted that out to everybody at the wedding? Like, just the way she said it was kind of putting Alexis in check. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Stacia's personality as this season progresses. So anyway, Alexis said yes, because they were going to find out anyway. In other words, she was going to blab this information to all of her friends and family, and this was faster than sending it in a group text, I guess. So Keisha asked her what she was thinking when Justin shared his little celibacy news with her. She was like, they gave me a wholesome man. Like, why? Because typically people are celibate for a reason. So she was thinking that it may have been for a medical reason. Dang, Alexis, because if a man is holding out for sex, something's got to be wrong with him, right? Wrong. There are men out there that aren't just looking to stick their straw in your sugar bowl, girl. In any case, she claims that since it's her husband, she's willing to wait. So then Keisha asked her what her conversation was like with her friends and family about this. Because we know since she broadcasted it to all of the wedding guests, folks were going to chime in, right? So she said one of her friends was curious if he was well hung. And Alexis claims she never thought about that until her friend brought it up. Like, she doesn't even think like that. See, Justin, not every woman looks at you just for your meat. Keisha explained that he told her that he was celibate because women treat him like a piece of meat and only want him for sex. So then Alexis was kind of clowning him by saying, who are these women? I would like to meet them. Then she took like a little survey and asked Lindy and Stacia if they ever looked at Justin and said, oh, that's a piece of meat. And they all laughed and said no. So this is a portion of the conversation I mentioned earlier that for me kind of turned into real girl talk. Because then Keisha said in Married at First Sight history, she's never heard so much talk about meat. And then she referenced Stacia talking about the husbands not being circumcised. And Krysten's friends asked her if the questionnaire had a place to put the man's penis size. And of course, Justin talking about his meat nonstop. And then Alexis was like, oh, is that what he meant by feeling like a piece of meat? Come on, girl. Now, I thought Lindy was supposed to be the sheltered child. Are you kidding me? Keisha was like, yes, girl. He was talking about the meat down there. And Alexis says, I didn't know what he meant. I was thinking this is a lot of meat talk for a vegan. And Keisha said, did you become a vegan before or after you met Justin? Alexis said, I saw him and was immediately like, no more meat. I've got enough. It was obvious that they were both kidding. It felt like we were eavesdropping on some girlfriends having drinks. That was like a really fun moment. So next, Keisha showed the scene where they took the wedding photos and Justin said, I'm going to fall in love with her. Keisha asked how that made her feel, and Alexis said, not good. It was a red flag. She used to be a counselor, so she said it's cute and all to hear that from her husband, but when you really break it down, they just met and he didn't have enough information about her to know if he could fall in love. Now, Justin did throw that love word around a couple of times. He also said it was like love at first sight for him. Given that they only have 8 weeks to fall in love, hey, he's ahead of the pack. But when he finds out that she's human and has flaws, being that he's built her up in his mind like he has, it could send him down the deep end a little too fast. Hey, whether this turns out to be a sappy love story or a real life disappointing wake-up call, I'm here for it. Keisha straight up asked her if there is anything her spouse should be concerned about when it comes to her and her little personality. Lindy said she has a big personality and is very passionate, which can scare a lot of people off. Okay, Miss Passionate, your friends call it spiraling. That is what's scaring people off. Next, they played the scene where she said her dad wasn't going to be at the wedding. So Lindy explained that she blindsided her dad and didn't tell him that she was going through the process, but she was happy to have her mom and brothers there. Yeah, there's definitely more to that story. There's a reason why she didn't tell him. Obviously, she knew he would have a problem with it. She says she's no longer affiliated with the church. It's been years, so she's still a Christian, just more spiritual and no longer goes to church. So I'm pretty sure this plays into why she didn't tell her dad about the show early on. Now, we didn't get to see all the wedding gifts everyone gave each other. She said Miguel gave her a map of the world and wrote, "We can travel the world, not as strangers, but as foreigners in new lands." Okay, get it, Mr. Miguel, with you and your words, Mr. Poet. This prompted Keisha to ask Alexis if she and Justin exchanged gifts. She said they did. She painted him a portrait that said "one day at a time." And get this, he gave her a card that said "one day at a time." Okay, regardless of whether or not this couple makes it, the expert did match these folks who seem to think alike because these two also had very similar wedding vows. So back to Lindy. They show the scene from their wedding where the officiant says that Miguel is a neural doctor. Lindy said that she is so smitten with Miguel. He's so warm and was even like making little facial expressions to calm her nerves during the wedding. And she's just so very happy. I'm getting good vibes from Miguel. Actually, I get them from Lindy too, but I've got my eye on her because of her little temper her friends keep talking about. So Keisha asked all of them where they are at this moment in their marriage right now from a scale from 1 to 10. Stacia straight up said she's at a 10. Lindy said at 8.5. Alexis hopped on Lindy's bandwagon and said she's at an 8.5 too. And Keisha was like, hold up, why y'all at an 8.5? Lindy said, well, she's still meeting all of his friends and family, so that 2.5% is the reality that there's still a bit of the unknown. They had to help her out with the math there and let her know that it's 1.5%, not 2.5. So Alexis piggybacked on what Lindy said. She said, just like Lindy, she's being realistic. She said she's a lover, so she's always gonna love, but that 1.5% is the reality check. Now, Stacia said she's sticking to her number because she's in bliss right now because he's checking off all her little boxes. Now, Keisha said she's most surprised to hear that from her because of everyone, she was the most calculated. Me too, Keisha. I thought Stacia would turn her nose up at Nate and be afraid that he would put her purses up for sale on Poshmark, Etsy, or eBay.